Here we go.
Okay,
Good
we are
morning.
live. Good morning, everyone. My name is Terry.
Morning.
My name
Morning.
is Terry Jones, and we will be doing some Sumi-e ink work today. What I'm focusing on is not the theory of Sumi-e ink. I'm not going to teach you. I mean, they have certain ways to hold the brushes, and it's a very long process. But what I am going to do is give you a few hints of ways you can play with paper, and we can include that in our collages. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my space. Okay. And here's my space. And what you'll see here is, okay, here is one where I just did I did a little bit of Sumi-e ink, and actually I'm fairly certain it's on exam paper. And
Hmm.
then I collaged it right over the project that I did last week with the whatever we were doing with the suds.
Bubbles.
And I
Hmm.
collaged it right over the bubbles, and it made a you can see how
That's cool.
transparent the Sumi-e
Mm.
ink, how transparent it became. You really can't see the difference um, in a lot of it. I didn't get my edges perfect because I was in a hurry to do this, but it really is lovely. So this is one of the things we can do with Sumi-e ink. So what I've got here is a variety of papers, and I've got my Sumi-e ink. Now, for traditional Sumi-e ink artists, they use this is called a wetting stone or a grinding stone, and it is traditionally made of slate. And the Sumi-e ink comes in this little um, contain this little stick that as you literally grind your own Sumi-e ink. Now, I spent the 15 minutes grinding Sumi-e ink in my theoretical meditative state earlier, so there is already a lot of Sumi-e ink in this grinding stone. But it's a whole ritual, and it's quite lovely. And the Sumi-e ink smells lovely. It has some kind of a resin in it or something. It's basically what I understand is basically coal. So the second thing we do with Sumi-e ink is we're going to put it so you guys have just the ink. And Laura, you say you're going to be using
I'm using India ink because
India ink.
my Sumi-e ink isn't here yet.
How dare they not give it to you?
I know it's
Now,
gonna be here tomorrow.
I know that's how it works. So the reality is on most of these light papers, this one here, I'm going to try it, which I've never tried it yet. This is a tea bag paper that I got from Amazon. And so I'm going to try it on this tea bag paper first. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about brushes, and they have a couple of different kind of Sumi-e brushes. They have the smaller ones here, and they have some really big ones. A lot of Sumi-e, whoa, where is my big one? A lot of Sumi-e artists paint their entire picture with this size brush because it can go, as you can see, it goes into a very fine tip. Now, some of these brushes are horsehair brushes and some of them are goat hair. And horsehair spring back really well. You can see how this will spring back. The goat hairs are really good at just what I would call collapsing. This one's a goat hair one. And what you'll see is it will literally just kind of, oh, actually, that might be a horsehair. This is definitely a goat hair one. And what you'll see is they will literally just kind of collapse into different shapes. Now, you can use this for there's a whole process of how they work with their shapes and how they make their shapes. And some people make them straight up and some people make them sideways, but I'm just going to kind of talk about that later. And so on the side plate, I have put a little bit of ink. So I am going around in a circle here, and I've got my darkest ink. So if I take my ink directly from my your jar or whatever, and I take it here and I put it down, this is an extremely dark ink. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a line that it will make. You see how dark that is? And if I try to work like do a side line like this, it's very dark. So that's my darkest value. And then once I get that darkest value in here, I will go and I will make my values change by putting water in it. So this one I might put 2 or 3 drops of water. This one I'll put more water, and so that I can get a decent value change in here. And I have to clean off my brush in between, or else I will end up just getting lots of muddy water. I end up having at least one water to clean off in, and then one water to get drops. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to load a brush and do one of what they call a bamboo. But I don't want to make it that dark. That's too dark. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to go into this lighter area here. And I can also go on my paper that I've got underneath me, which I have too much. I should, and I can see what value is happening. You see how I've gone to the side here and you can see what value is happening. So this is a much lighter value here. And then I'm going to take just the tip of my brush and put it in the dark. Because my hope here in this is that when I put my mark down, so I'm doing the traditional bamboo stroke, which is they start with it and they push down and then they slightly pull up and they come up and they push down at the very end. So you can see now I can see that I need a little more dark on the very edge. So I came back into my darkest on my palette and I'm going to go do that again. I'm going to leave just a little space. I'm going to push down. I'm going to pull up, let it kind of pull up and push down again. And this, if you can see, you get two values in your piece. If you're using a traditional brush, Laurie,
Yes.
yeah, you may have to hold it more sideways.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah.
Because the Sumi-e brushes are like floppy. And I'm going to
What if
do
you
that.
use an angle brush? Would that work?
It might work. Yeah, it could work to get the same thing. You just have to load it on the side, each side. So you
Yeah.
could possibly do that if you have the right size. So this again, I'm going to come here and I'm pushing down and then I pull up slightly and then I push down at the very end. So as you can see, I get some bamboo-like strokes. Yours is going to work, Laura. You're just going to have to add a little extra.
Yeah, I'm not worried
Yeah.
about it. It's going
Yeah.
fine, I think.
Yeah, I think it's looking great. Yours is looking fabulous, Corinne. And so
Thank you.
I'm going to go do the same thing. I'm loading up the the brush a little bit with the lighter, and then I'm putting a little bit of the darker, and I might take a little bit of the water out, and I'm going to try to make a bigger one going at a slight angle. So I'm going to push down again, but this time I'm trying to use more of my brush, which isn't I ended up with too much. Okay, so I ended up with too little water on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to start again, push down, pull up, and then I'm going to load it again and push down, come up, pull up. And I think part of just like Wabi Sabi, the beauty of this is that we are creating kind of imperfectly. Push down, pull up, and push down. So now I've got like two things of bamboo happening here. And I may put, typical Chinese, they'll do three. I have this really dark one here. So I'm thinking I'm going to just use that real dark one to, I'm going to see if I can make a darker image. So I'm going to go into a little bit of my darker ink that I have made. So that one's the value that's the 3. And I'm going to put a little bit on the tip here. And I'm going to see if I can get this to work a little more. And I do want to stagger my joints a little bit. So there, I've got that. This here, I'm going to just kind of play with. And I like how that turned out in a lot of ways. I don't know why the light happened like that, but this is just like Wabi Sabi. It is very kind of intuitive. So the next, in the traditional bamboo, the next thing we'll do is we will go into, it's almost like a dry brush. We're going to go into our darkest darks, and down on the, what they call the bottom of it, you're going to do almost like a U shape on the bottom of this space. You're going to put in an upside down U shape, I guess. The middle, for some reason, they have this idea that it's an S shape because this is supposed to be on your eye level. And so this becomes an S shape. And then the top would be the other kind of U shape. Whoops, I forgot to put a whole top on that guy. And so now I have some joints. And then from the joints, you come out with some with your next thing, which are the branches. And the branches are pretty much exactly like we just did them, except you're going to use the tip, and they are also sectional if you've ever seen. So they're going to come out of the joint space, and you're going to push your brush down and then lightly raise it up and then push it down at the very end. And you're going to hold it almost, and you can then change its direction if you want, push it down, pull it up, and push it down at the very end. And you're going to do that same kind of thing. Push it down, lightly pull it up, and push it down at the end. And you can, kind of change directions a little bit. You can also branch it off at any of the branches by doing the same thing. So here I'm pushing it down to start and pulling it up. And so I've got a few branches falling out of there. So again, and all of the branches aren't going to be the same, but they can even crisscross each other if you're wanting them to. And so I'm just putting a little filigree of branches on this side and just kind of pushing up and bringing up. And the branches can go, if you have something that's looks like it's behind, it's smaller, it might be behind something, I might want to push down and then bring a branch over on the other side like this, and then push down and bring some branches over. So I can just kind of play with the rhythm of the branches. So I'm kind of liking mine. I love yours, Korinne. It's very lovely. You've got some nice shadows coming in. I like how you've
Practicing.
Yes, well, that's what we're doing. We're practicing. We're just putting in and playing. This one here didn't get enough shadow here in the bottom, but that's okay. At this point, I'm just playing. I'm just using, I love these brushes. They're really fun, but you can't get real attached to anything. if you know what I mean. They just,
So, can you back up and explain the different brush you have? You have like special brushes for it?
well, the Sumi-e brush there's two different brushes. There's the goat's hair, and then there is the horsehair brush.
Okay.
One is one is springier than the other.
Okay.
Um, for the main thing, I'm fairly certain I used a goat's hair brush, if I remember correctly. I don't remember which brush I used, or maybe, no, I think I used the goat here. I used a goat's hair brush. And it just skips and is kind of sloppy. I think I'm fairly certain I used this brush.
Okay.
Um, and the horsehair brushes, which is the one I'm using now, has a little more spring to it. You'll have more success with your round brush that has a point, Laurie, because of the more success. So this, the problem with your round brush that has the point isn't like soft enough to do this skippy side stuff on the
Okay, that's
for
fine.
Sumi-e, you
Yeah.
know. But it's
I've
going to
never done this before. This is like brand new to me.
okay.
Me too.
So it's fun. It's very
Yeah,
fun. It's
I
fun
like
to
it.
it's fun to just, think these are intentional strokes. And if you
So
read
why three, do you think? Because like I grew up around bamboos, there's usually a lot of it's just that's the way the composition works, or
well, the traditional composition is three
oh, okay.
or five. They tend to do
So an
that.
odd
But
number.
yes, an odd number.
Okay.
And they also will tend to, so what'll happen is you can sometimes they'll put more bamboo in the background, but usually they end up with three of some kind, and then they'll do the leaf pattern next. And
Mhm.
the leaf pattern, so the leaves then go up from usually from the nodules too. And how you do the leaves, let me see if I can do this right, is you do a very thin line, and then you go straight down and push and then pull up.
And what value do you usually use? Very light?
I'm using a fairly a darker value. I'm realizing I need a darker value for some of the leaves.
Oh,
So
that's fun making the leaves.
so then I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to press down, and then I'm pulling up. You see how they make the really nice leaves?
Yeah,
So
I like that.
so that's a lot of fun. And again, they tend to do three or five, and the leaves from the top tend to go up. So and then as they come down, they'll start coming down a little bit.
I hope everyone gives this a try because this is fun.
It is fun. It's very fun. So I'm just putting some leaves in here. Um, and you can do like, sometimes I've done the leaves where I bring them up and then I pull them up and then I bring them sideways. So they kind of,
Hmm.
so there's all sorts of, it's called one stroke. A
Hmm.
lot in what, because they have the chrysanthemum stroke, and they have the bamboo stroke, and they have the nodule stroke, and they have the leaf stroke, and they have a bird stroke. So as you research this more, you can find out that there's a whole lot of things that you can do that will give you some wonderful strokes. This, I have really old, I haven't bought a new calligraphy. In fact, I got these used years ago somewhere. And so my leaves aren't coming out perfect, but that's okay. They're fun. It's fun to do.
Well,
Mhm.
the eye does most of the work for you anyway. You don't have to be perfect.
Right. And I think that that is one of the things that is really important, is to recognize that we can just continue to play with this. And this as I said, this is probably going to be part of a collage. They have a wonderful, there's a stroke, there's this magnolia stroke that they make this whole magnolia flower in like 3 strokes.
Oh, I'm doing that.
So it is just so beautiful. Um,
I grew up in Mississippi, so that's like I love the magnolia.
Mine's not pulling up, but anyway, so this is just I'm just putting a few leaves on my bamboo. I'm gonna have to get a little more water in my brush and get it to be a little more behaving. Um, so I'm just gonna, and I can go over things, but I don't have to do a whole lot. Less is more in the Chinese too. Now, the next thing that I have to do is I'm going to try to end up putting a little bit of something because we are, believe it or not, close to running out of time.
Oh,
um,
came out too dark.
so a lot of times what they do is, I don't know if you can see my brush here, is they just literally kind of scrunch your brush up like this. And then this is how they do almost dry brush with with their like grasses. And they have a tendency then to switch into a lighter color and also do some interesting dry brush techniques so that you have different levels. And so you have different sense of light. So that's kind of fun too. So at this point, I'm going to let it kind of dry. So, Corinne, your dry brush ends up having to be, is that you? So,
Yeah, here.
so you're going to have, look at mine. Do you see how mine looks like it's got fingers?
Yeah.
So that's how dry
Mine
you
needs
want it.
to be drier.
Right. That's the word
Okay.
I was looking for. Your dry brush needs to be
Drier.
drier. Yes.
Okay.
So and as I
Oops.
say, you can test it on another piece of paper if you want.
This
Um,
is just all play anyway.
yeah. And so another thing that they do frequently is they will just take a little bit. So let us just say I'm going to have a moon in here. So they'll just take a little tiny bit of color and go around the moon. And they'll just
Negative painting.
negative painting, right? Just a hint to give you a little bit of background in there. So it's just kind of a hint of a moon back there. And once it's dry, you can kind of play a little bit with that. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll do a faux water down here. Like there's a little bit of water down here just with a thinner brush. Because you see, it doesn't move after you put it down. Part of
Right.
it is the paper. And so you can do them on all sorts of different kinds of paper. And but you can take, like, this is done on tea bag paper. So I could take this if I had a passage in my collage and I wanted to just have the illusion of some oriental something in there. And I could take this and I could collage it in like I did this one. And it would end up being another collage piece. And this doesn't run with the collage
Matte medium.
with the matte medium. Yeah.
I have a question about the rice papers.
Yes.
So all of my rice papers have a smooth side and an absorbent side. Which side am I painting on?
Smooth, you always do it on the smooth side,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
I
And
mean,
you
I
can
do with
go,
my acrylic, so I just wanted to check. Yeah.
yeah, you can do, I mean, you can do this one, as I said, I wanted to try this new tea. So basically, they usually use what they call rice papers or mulberry papers, or made from mulberry fiber. And most of the, like the tea bag paper and stuff that we get are mulberry papers.
Mhm.
So this was a tea bag paper that I got from Amazon that I really like because it goes pretty transparent. And and I've also used it on the regular tea bag, but I use it a lot. There's the other rice papers that I think I introduced last year that are the 100 pound, or you can't really read what they are, but they're packages of rice paper. And those papers work really well. And if you want to do a painting itself,
100.
what we used, yeah, that one right there. That's
This
exactly,
one.
that one
This
works
one's a
well.
little bit too light for the gel plate, but it works great for this.
Yes, it is. It's,
Sometimes it's good for quick pulls like wabi sabi, but it's not good for heavy layered pulls.
yeah, no, it's not good at all for heavy layered pulls, but it is good for quick pulls. But yes, it that works really well. And
I love
so
that you're left-handed, Corinne, and so yours are the opposite. I love that.
my teacher was left-handed, and I realized that how her compositions are always almost mirror image of my, our compositions end up being different too because of the perception. But
So one thing
anyway,
I'm finding with the rice paper, just since I tried it quick, is the ink spreads further. So, I've got some ink spreading outside of the line. So I'm going to have to use a drier brush.
yes, that is, and that is why we dry, you have to dry the brush a little bit,
Yeah,
specifically with the rice papers. This one,
got it.
I still needed to use a fairly dry brush on because it will, so yeah. So
All
there
right.
it's staying in the lines, right?
This
Except,
time it stayed in the
yeah,
lines. I got a little bit too much dark in here, and this time it went out. So
yeah.
I can see I'll need to play with the different papers and how wet the brush needs to be with the different papers.
Right. And the thicker the paper, the more wet the brush can be. The thinner
Uh-huh.
the paper, the more you have to pay attention to the more you have to pay attention to um, you know,
Amount of water is on the
yeah, the
brush.
amount of water and the real like the sketch paper, which is the uh, sketch
Ye-
paper pad that we use, the thick
Yes,
paper. This is
yes.
literally designed for Sumi-e painting.
Oh, wonderful. I have
But
a couple.
yeah, but that is for when you're actually painting something that you're not necessarily having to collage. If you want to collage over, the thinner the paper, the better it is.
Mhm.
So, any other questions, girls?
No, I'm
No,
practicing.
yeah, I'm going to practice a lot. This is a lot of fun.
Isn't it a lot of fun? It's just so much fun. And then if you go online, there's a lot of people that'll teach you the strokes, the magnolia ones online. It's two
Okay,
birds
yeah, I'm
with
gonna look that one up.
magnolia. That seems like a real fun one for you, Laurie. Wait till you get your right brushes though, because those brushes you're
Yeah,
struggling
I'm
to
gonna
get
get.
with your brush. Yeah, but
I
that
can I can totally see the difference. I mean, I managed to improvise, but it really would work better if I had those.
right, the good brushes.
Yeah.
And so next week, what we are going to do is I've discovered a way to combine the Sumi-e inks with wet acrylic inks. So we either need the
Okay.
fluid acrylics or a very soft bodied acrylic. And we are going to do some semic writing, and it makes for some lovely, lovely papers. So we're
So we can use acrylic ink.
I don't think you can use acrylic. We're going to be on the gel plate.
Oh, okay. So you want us
So
to
I
use like
want
high flow?
either, no, you're using the Sumi-e ink
Yeah.
and you're using acrylic. And you can just use the Liquitech Basics if you want. I just don't
Oh,
want to
so I can
use,
use my Nova Color acrylics?
yes, you can use your Nova color
Okay.
or if you have fluid acrylics, not high flow. There's a difference between fluid and high
Yeah, I
flow.
know.
Yeah. But if you have fluid acrylics, some of them you can use, but like the cheap Dick Blick, you can't use. So,
Okay. Well, I have
okay.
plenty of Nova Color paint, so I'll use that.
Yeah, I think the Nova Color paint will work fine. I think I've done it with the
Okay.
Nova Color. So anyway, any other questions?
No, thank you, Terry. This
No,
is
thank you
good.
very much.
Okay, this is going to be an exciting month, and we are going to
Mm-hmm.
build on everything that we have done. So we're building on our January mark making, our February gel plate printmaking, and then now we're going to build again a little more with a wabi sabi influence again, because I really
Mm-hmm.
find that really works well. So we also are going to do a little bit of marbling, but you don't need anything but dish soap and Sumi-e ink. So
Okay.
so that'll be week 3. And we're making lots of different papers this month. Okay. And if anybody
Okay.
wants to join us at exploremixedmedia.com. We have oh, Laura, you explain it better than me.
That's fine. Yeah. So if you go to exploremixedmedia.com, we have a patronage option for you where you can join, and it's only $7 a month or $70 a year. And you can join, you get access to all of last year's projects, but you also get access to each private project that we do each month based on the theme. And it's a lot of fun, and we love getting to know our members. So we hope you will consider joining us there. Again, it's exploremixedmedia.com.
Thanks, Laurie, and we'll
You're
see you
welcome.
all again next week. Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.